just my mic was muted and I didn't understand why it wasn't showing up on there.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure. Are you okay if I record this? If not, it's totally fine.
100% okay with it. Actually, there's one thing that I've noticed. So yeah, I'll go ahead and say yes. I don't know if you want to start that already or.
It doesn't matter. I did start it, but
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So a little bit of background about me in playing Dota. So I'm 36. I have 2 kids, and I used to play Ultimate Frisbee. I played a ton of sports in high school. Um, I graduated high school and I started playing Ultimate Frisbee. It became like the love of my life, right? And that thing just it scratched an itch that just I couldn't get anywhere else. It's just there's something about the team sport and the strategy, and I kind of noted that in the questionnaire.
yeah, I saw that.
I tore up my knee, I tore up my shoulder, I ended up having shoulder surgery and all this stuff, and I'm just like, you know what, I don't need to put my body through that anymore. But by the way, I was very physical when I played.
Hey,
Frisbee sport, I was very physical when I played. And I used to play Counter Strike. I used to play Call of Duty on PS4. I used to play all these games, and then I kind of stopped. And after all this kind of happened to me, I knew that there is an element to playing these type of games that I know is intellectually stimulating, right?
yeah, definitely.
And I found Dota actually December last year was the first time I even knew what Dota was.
Okay.
And I came across it because of actually Day 9 in Purge.
Oh, nice. That's a really good entry point, actually.
Yeah, and I watched all their videos. I kind of watched them kind of go through, and I played probably 30 games from January to August. If
Okay.
I'm 100% honest, I played maybe 30 games. And what I was doing during that is I would play a game and I'd go back and I'd kind of watch the replay. I'm like, oh, I don't know why I did that. And I kind of tried to study what I was doing. I also
Holy
played
shit.
a lot of bot matches.
That's like way better than I do, or most pro players don't even do that.
And a lot of that is from what I learned from playing Ultimate Frisbee, right? I coached and captained a lot of the teams that I played with, and I like to try to bring new players into the sport when I was playing. And a lot of that came from one of the main things I told people learning how to throw is you can see how somebody's body looks when they're throwing. Well, when you practice throwing, don't go out and throw your frisbee out in your yard or whatever. Stand in front of a mirror and do the same motions that you do when you throw,
Right.
and force your body to look normal from a visual perspective. You're going to get the muscle memory from it, and then when you go out and try to throw, you should increase your ability sooner by doing that. And that's one of the reasons that I kind of did this. I didn't know if it was the right thing to do, but it just felt like useful. And then in August, I kind of did that for a while, and I played a ton of bot matches so I could get kind of some of the mechanics down. And then in August, I played like 120 games in August.
Hell yeah.
Trial
by fire.
Exactly, right? I got through all my 100 matches. I calibrated at 1100 MMR, and then I've been basically repeating that maybe every 2 weeks or so since then.
When you say repeating, what do you mean by that?
Oh, I'll play a handful of games and then I'll kind of go back and try to look at things, and then there's a point where I'm Crusader 3, right? I maybe know 10% of what I don't know,
right?
Or I guess that didn't make sense, but there's so much to this that I know that I don't know, and I was finding people via Dota Team Finder and Seek Team and things like that, who were a little bit higher than me, Archon and Legend, and I would play with them and I would try to get feedback from them here and there. And I feel like a lot of that's been kind of the progression that I've had since August.
Okay.
And now I'm to the point where every time I talk to somebody, I sometimes feel like I'm like, yeah, I play, I try to play position 5 Undying, and everybody I talk to is like, well, that's an offlaner hero. And I'm like, well, no, that's not 100% true. So I kind of feel like the pool of people that I've been playing with, not all of them, but the majority of them kind of feel like I needed to take this next step and actually go to somebody who's used to coaching, and yeah, so that's kind of I guess that's a little bit extensive, but that's kind of
no, that's good. It's
how I got
actually
here.
it's really good for me to get some context behind the person that I'm trying to interact with. So I'll just give you a very, very brief summary of me, just so you can understand how I can relate.
Okay.
So I played baseball in college. I played
Okay.
sports all my life. I come from that exact same background. I no longer can play, college sports. I wanted to be a pro baseball player, but obviously that didn't work out.
Yeah.
I've been a coach. I taught snowboarding for a number of years in
Oh,
Colorado.
nice.
I am incredibly physical, and I learn by doing.
Yes.
And so it sounds like we're kind of on the same page as far as that goes.
Absolutely.
Watching and doing is how I pick information up. It sounds like you're the
Yes.
same way.
Yes.
Okay, so that all sounds really good to me, and I think that we can definitely support is definitely my strongest role. I would say I mostly play 4 and 5,
Okay.
just because I don't like fighting people for mid and carry.
Right. Exactly.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I just got really tired of that, so I just started playing 4 and 5 exclusively.
And I told a friend of mine that I don't actually enjoy staring at an HP bar for the first 10 minutes of a game and deciding when I'm supposed to click on that HP bar.
Yeah.
So that's just a different game. Yeah. So yeah, it's same page. It's 100% same page.
Okay. So I mean, this should work out pretty well, because this is what I do, is essentially just make stuff happen. And since most people, to be perfectly honest, are just complete garbage at playing support, it's there's like, with a very small amount of changes, you can make your impact in games like astronomically higher than most people.
Great, and that's what 100%. That's what my goal is. I know that there's a way to win games by being the best player on the in the match as support.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I want to be able to try to maximize, and then going forward. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I have this replay downloaded. So
okay,
should we just hop into it, and like we can just kind of we'll go quickly through it, because if you want to watch me actually play a game, that'll take a little bit of time.
Yeah, 100%. So the reason that I picked this replay is I felt like I had a really good game.
Okay.
We still lost.
Okay.
I felt like I had a good laning stage. There were some things like I know that I want to improve on, but mostly what I want to know is I'm sitting here looking at this going, this felt like a good match. I want you to ruin my mentality of that game. And so that I can go, okay, those are things that I need to pick up on.
Okay, sure.
Additionally, I am awful at deciding what to do mid and late game after the laning stages, and I feel like I could have possibly done something in this game to prevent the end result.
Okay, yeah, no problem. That sounds like a perfect match to analyze. Most people are either in the camp of like, I won this game or my team lost this game. And so it's good that you feel like you played well, but you're not really sure why you lost necessarily. Yeah. So we'll just hop into it. Can you see my screen?
I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So you're playing Lich, and the new Lich is pretty amazing. He's very strong.
Yes.
Very good hero.
I can't think of it. The Monkey King is the guy I've been playing with quite a bit.
Okay.
And he was like, "Hey, you should really just try to spam Lich and figure that out." Because I really didn't play Lich until literally until this patch.
Okay, yeah, it was super boring before this patch, but now he's pretty fun.
The sacrifice replaced with the Sinister Gaze was the only thing that I knew that had really changed, and the way that the ice armor.
The frost shield is actually insane now. It's super good.
Yeah, I've had quite a few good games with him just by spamming the ice shield or ice armor or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's not surprising. So first thing I will say is I like your starting items. Most people don't show up to lane with enough regen, and so you do. I assume you bought the courier 1 ward, and then you have this. You pulled the tangos to your mid player, so that's all good. That's all higher level stuff than most people do with this. And a little bit of context, I've been doing a 1K MMR climbing challenge as a support. So I'm a Divine 1 player, and I have been just playing on Crusader. I bought an account that was 1K MMR because a lot of people on our YouTube channel were saying that the stuff that Jenkins and I were teaching was not applicable to their level. So I just wanted to be like, No, it actually is applicable. You just have to actually do it. And
Yeah,
so,
it's kind of so. I said that I watch a lot of purge videos. I've actually been watching a lot of stuff that you and Jenkins do as well. Actually, the video he just did on how to relieve stress and not be so anxious also really kind of applies to my mentality. So just yeah, a lot of the stuff you guys do, it makes sense from my perspective as somebody who has tried to teach newer people
right.
with Ultimate and everything like that. So it's I've definitely watched a lot of you guys have done as well, and I do feel like yeah, I 100% think they're applicable.
Cool. So anyway, the point is that I actually have literally been playing support at this level, at this exact
Okay.
MMR. So I'm very familiar with how these games go now. So it's even better for the context of this. And most
Yes.
people will not show up to lane with this kind of stuff. Your Monkey King actually also doing a good job not showing up to lane with a Quelling Blade. That's one of the biggest no-nos in my
Yep.
opinion.
Yep.
I do wish he had a Stout Shield instead of the Orb of Venom.
Oh, yep. And I
Um,
also I asked him not to show there so early
right.
sometimes. But yeah, so he's actually helped me a lot with my
Cool.
itemization as well.
Perfect. So yeah, I think that this invade was good. The one thing I will say is though, your itemization was good. I think that you probably could have gone out and placed a ward early. Like you still have the ward in your inventory. I think if you're a little bit faster out of the fountain, you're a pretty fast hero with 312 movement speed, which means you can actually get to these points to ward faster than basically anybody else in the game. See Necrophos 282, Wind Ranger 297, Phoenix 298. So you can actually get here before anybody else, place the ward, and then see them place the ward potentially. Now I will say also that generally speaking, in this current meta, you don't really need a ward in the safe lane. It's actually almost better to just place a ward mid.
Okay.
But you don't want to just run up and place the ward mid. You usually want to buy a smoke and just immediately smoke yourself at the very beginning of the game and walk out here, place the ward mid, and then run back over here before the smoke wears out. And you have just enough time to do that.
And I have seen that in pro games as well. So
Right.
yeah, 100%. Okay.
Okay. So this is a pretty good spot to ward. Actually, if you put the ward like literally right here where my cursor
In front of
is,
the tree? Okay.
yeah, then you can actually see across here and you're not blocked by this. It's just a tiny little like efficiency thing vision wise. You don't get this vision here, but you do get across here, so you could see somebody like sneaking in this way potentially.
Okay.
But this is a pretty good ward. It gives you vision of the rune and anybody rotating from here. I think personally, just based on my perception of how these games go, I usually tend to ward here just because like I feel like if I'm supporting the safe lane, I can control whether these people leave the lane or not, or at least let my carry know or my mid player know if they leave the lane. Whereas I can't rely necessarily on my offlaners to tell people when there's people missing, and so I'll usually put the ward here so that the support from the enemy safe lane can't sneak into my mid.
Okay, no, that's a good point. Okay,
but that's just kind of like a personal preference thing. So then as far as this lane goes, one of the first things you want to do as a support is basically just kind of get a sense of, are we stronger than them in this lane, or are they stronger than us?
Right.
And that's a lot of that's going to come from experience of just playing a bunch of games. In this case, I would say that you guys are stronger. I will say that without the Stout Shield, it's a little bit less strong than you'd like to be.
Okay.
But with your Frost Shield, you can kind of mitigate one of the main weaknesses of Monkey King, which is that he just has no armor.
Right. Right.
So he gets right-clicked very hard, and because there are two ranged heroes in particular, this lack of a Stout Shield is extra bad. That makes sense.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And also it felt like there was no reason for me to harass Necro in this lane because of the heal. I don't know if that was the right mentality.
That's not entirely true now, just because the Death Pulse, it used to have the heal when he would kill units, but now that's on Heartstopper aura. So this hero is probably one of the weakest heroes in the game now, because he actually needs to be like level 8 or 9 before he has the exact same kind of kit that he used to have at level 2 or 3. So this hero is definitely harassable. He does have the heal for sure, but this is the first thing that I do when I come to lane as a support is I just look at them. Okay, this guy has 2 tangos, this guy has 4 tangos. I'm immediately only going to right click and harass this guy because
And
As
it's
soon as his
probably the
tangos
only
are
time
gone, he's out of the lane.
he's at it. And it's probably the only time that I actually click on heroes right now is right at the beginning of the
Okay.
laning stage. And that's one of my focuses is to not only click on the people in my lane, but to look at the other lanes as well when I can.
Yeah, and that can be a little bit distracting if you're not 100% familiar with your mechanics and stuff like that, or you're maybe anxious in the lane or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It can be hard to figure out like when is a good time to look. So even right now, okay, you're in the trees. You can just go, okay, check that out, check that out, check that out. Now you've checked out 3 heroes and you're back here.
Okay.
And so another opportunity would be like, okay, well, I'm going to need to walk back to base. So you just click here and then you just start clicking around the map.
True.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And that way it becomes a little bit more it's not like, okay, I need to get this last hit and click on them and then get this last hit and then click on them. You know, that's a little bit too much for me.
Right. Okay.
So I think it's more about kind of managing your time. And if you're really not doing anything actively, then it's totally acceptable to just not have your camera on your hero and just be looking around the map at other stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so then here, I always like to look at personal deaths, but in this case, since you're support, it's also good to look at your carry's deaths, something that you might want to look at.
Yep.
Okay, so you're trading here. Your Monkey King goes in. You need to basically be communicating whether you have Frost Shield or not. And if you don't know, you can alt-click your ability.
Right, yeah, and it'll pop up there. Okay,
It'll tell you what the cooldown is. So you should be constantly, if this guy's wanting to get aggressive, you should just be telling him, hey, I don't have Frost Shield for 8 seconds, so just wait.
Okay, and he is he again is kind of an advantage. I play with him a lot. He's usually really good about asking me beforehand, but sometimes he just jumps in, and in the middle of the engagement, he goes, "Hey, Frost Shield me."
Right.
Like I have 6 seconds. So yeah, no, for sure, it is something that I also need to work on.
And you can just kind of even preemptively be communicating that stuff. A lot of the job of playing support is to read your teammates' minds, and like that sounds a little bit daunting, but that's legitimately what you have to do. Okay, so you see him walking towards them. Now you need to be like 24 seconds until Frost Shield, like as soon as that one ends, so he knows. Okay, 24 seconds. Don't go in until Frost Shield's up.
Right. Okay, makes sense.
The next thing I would do is probably pick up a stick. A magic stick from the side shop. You've got 200 gold. There's a hero that uses his spells constantly. And Lich no longer has sacrifice, so having the mana and HP sustain is pretty valuable.
Yep. I think I've been looking at an old build with him, and so I have not actively been getting stick, which I usually do with every other support. So
okay,
agreed, 100% agreed.
So there wasn't actually a whole lot you could do there. You kind of just dove too early. It does get the kill on the Phoenix, but that's a little bit not worth it as a trade. Now you do see, okay, I would be again clicking on the Necrophos, just checking periodically how much regen he has throughout the course of this laning stage. You get a kill there, that's nice. Now you can look at this guy. Okay, 4 tangos and the Windlace. And you know that you have 3 tangos and you pick up boots. Boots is okay. I don't necessarily think you need boots in this lane. And sorry if I'm going too fast or jumping too much. Just let me know.
You're absolutely not. You're good. Yep, you're fine.
Okay. I think that boots is usually a good thing to buy on supports first, but in this particular lane, knowing that you have a movement speed advantage and Monkey King has a movement speed advantage and you have 2 slows and a stun, I don't think you need to get boots first.
Okay, I don't actually think about looking at the movement speed differences. So okay, no.
Movement speed is one of the most underrated things in the entire game.
Okay.
Just like little piece of information that is something that I've been discovering. I think that movement speed is almost more important than anything else as far as your hero statistics.
Okay. Noted.
Okay, but yeah, so as far as using the Frost Shield, I think that you guys should maybe communicate or have a plan whether you want to play this very aggressively or not. Because if you notice, every time you use the Frost Shield, it's going to be pushing the wave forward because it damages all the enemy creeps. So pretty much I would just say, okay, let's play aggressively or let's just farm. And you guys play together. You can probably communicate that pretty easily. If he wants to play aggressively and try and kill them, which I think is probably fine in this matchup because the Monkey King kind of does own the Necrophos, and Phoenix offers little to no resistance to that without any stun, at least in the first couple levels. I think that you can get aggressive and get these kills.
Okay.
But you do also have to realize that, okay, so now this wave is up here, right? The creeps are up here. This is not really that safe for either of you guys to be, just in the grand scheme of things, because you don't have any vision here. You don't know if there's people maybe rotating in. And just the fact that, like, if they were to go on you, then you have a long way to get back to your tower before you're safe.
Okay.
So if the wave is up here, then you need to come over here and do this pull. And do you know about pulling creeps?
Yeah, for sure. I typically am pretty active on pulling, especially when the wave is that high.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, for sure. Pulling and pull throughs and stack pulls, yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's just one of the biggest things that you can do as a support to enable that your carry has a good lane, is to just preemptively be pulling the lane. And this guy's playing way too aggressive at this point. That's not really your fault. I would say that by frost shielding him, maybe you're enabling him to play that aggressively. Perhaps.
Yeah.
So maybe just even keep that in mind, that you can like psychologically affect whether he's playing poorly or well based on.
So one of those things where even if I'm telling them, hey, I'm gonna go pull, even if so just kind of dictating his movements by being more better communication.
Yeah, as a support player, it's all about communication.
Yeah. And I don't actually think I knew that they had blocked the camp, by the way.
Yeah, and that's okay because the lane was like right here for most of it, so you didn't really need to be pulling the lane. But once you go back and check, obviously it doesn't spawn. Probably bring out a sentry, but maybe not. Yeah. And I do see that you go for tranquils. I think that is a little bit greedy. I'm more of a sacrificial support player than most people. I would definitely opt.
Like to play that way. I actually typically like to play that way, but I get like flamed so hard if I don't have some type of extended boots. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's all right. So I mean, what I would do here is I would notice that my ward is down to the last like maybe 15 seconds or whatever this amount of time is.
Yep.
And I would notice that we have no other wards on the map. And so instead of buying the Ring of Health and the Windlace, I would probably just buy the Windlace, because the Windlace gives me the extra movement speed. Remember, movement speed is overpowered. Yep. And then I would spend the 300 gold from the Ring of Regen on probably 2 wards, a smoke, and some clarities.
Okay, good point. Okay.
And so then I'd fly that out to me. I'd make sure that the wave is in a good spot. I'd tell my Monkey King, all right, I'm going to go ward. And then I'd walk back here like this. And then I would smoke probably right here. And I'd walk up and I'd probably place a ward here. And then I'd walk over here and I'd place a ward here.
Okay.
And what that would do is it's going to keep track of anybody rotating in to maybe gank the safe lane eventually.
Yep. And especially with how aggressive he's been.
Yep, and it's also going to come give your mid some extra vision so that they can see if anybody's rotating in to gank them.
Okay.
So now you've essentially, pseudo secured both your safe lane and your mid lane for the next 6 minutes. And that's going to allow you to figure out where you should go, because as a support, as we said, it's basically all about reading your team's mind and figuring out where you need to be, like about 30 seconds to a minute before you need to be there.
Okay. Okay, makes sense.
So, then essentially the rest of this laning stage is going to be, is my Monkey King safe? Can we get a kill? No, not really. You're not really able to get kills against this Phoenix at this point. He's level 4. The Necrophos is level 4, and you have no stun outside of the Monkey King, who's probably not going to use his stun until he has Jingu stacks up. So it's pretty unreliable.
Okay.
So at that point, you can either decide, okay, I'm just going to go stack and pull and just let the Monkey King farm and get his solo experience. Or I can go to the other lane and check on them and see if we can actually maybe get a kill up here. And I would say you probably can get a kill up here because you have a slow from Axe, you have a slow from Drow, and you have 2 slows yourself. So you could probably get very aggressive on the Medusa Dazzle lane.
True. Okay.
And then obviously you can look mid. You're probably not going to kill Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger has the ability to just run away, like basically at will. So your hero not very good at killing Wind Ranger, but pretty good at killing slow moving heroes that, you know, don't want to be run at, which you guys certainly can.
Okay.
So again, before you make that rotation, you want to secure this lane. So the fact that this is pushing up, I'm probably just going to go over here and pull this one more time, maybe do the pull through. Okay. Make sure that the wave is about here. And
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, that goes all out the window when your mid is getting dove.
True.
Okay, so right about here is probably when I'm going to TP, but that's, you know, that requires you to just kind of recognize
and click on it. Yep.
Yeah, based on the mini map, like anytime you see an enemy hero this far under your tower, like their arrows disappearing under one of your heroes, you probably want to just at least take a peek. And so if you TP right here, probably actually can get a turn kill. But because you wait until now, it becomes much harder to actually save this guy.
And I have no mana.
Looks like you do save him anyway, so that's, I mean, what the fuck do I know? That seems good.
No. But still, it could have been one of those situations where we actually could have turned and gotten the kill there if I'd have gone a little bit earlier or something like that. There's probably an advantage that could have been gained by.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. But that was still good. You know, you did save him, so that's a completely acceptable rotation. But from here, this is where a lot of supports are going to make a mistake. Okay, so do you have any kill potential on this guy?
No.
So now it's time to figure out, what am I supposed to do? And it's certainly not just sitting here in the mid lane.
Are you sure I wasn't supposed to be sitting there in the mid lane?
I'm pretty sure. Unless you're sitting here in the mid lane because you're clicking on the other heroes and gathering information.
I was definitely not doing that.
Okay. So the next thing that you want to do is once you've made this rotation, you know, okay, I'm no longer needed in the mid because this guy's at full HP. I definitely think that running back to base to get health and mana is a good idea. You know, generally don't want to be using the courier too much until like the mid game when you should have priority for the most part to get the wards out as soon as possible.
I have been trying to load up the courier for when my carry pulls him so that I can just use it when that happens.
Yeah, that's one of the most frustrating things in pubs is the just supreme lack of courier respect and like etiquette, which most pub people have.
Yeah.
And so I always make sure, like, if I'm over here and Drow is using the courier, I'm 100%. I catch it like right here, and I say, "Hold on 1 second with the courier," and I send it back and grab my stuff.
Yes.
And then oftentimes I'll even run to the courier. Like if I'm here, I'll run to the courier just so it gets to me faster.
Yeah, to speed up. Yep.
Just because I know how pissed people get about the courier usage, even if they're using it incorrectly.
Yep.
Okay, so right here in the fountain, are you checking people's items?
You know, I 100%. I will tell you, I was not doing that.
Okay.
I want to say that I was taking way too long deciding if I wanted to go back safe or to off. That I think pretty sure I was trying to decide, do I want to go help out on top or do I want to go back to safe?
And how are you trying to make that decision without checking the lanes?
So I wasn't clicking on people, but I definitely looked up.
Okay.
And I think I clicked up there and I was looking at where X was.
Okay.
And when he backed away, I said, I'm going safe. I'm pretty sure I went back safe.
Okay. And that would be the correct decision. Just because if I were to look at the situation, and again, like as you're regenerating your mana and stuff, it takes a few seconds to do so. Then you can be like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I for sure looked, but I know I did not click on anybody to look at their, items or anything like that.
Cool. And you can even click on your own teammates. Does this guy need anything? Does this guy need anything? Like true support shit, to be honest. Okay. So the next thing that I want to cover is TP scroll usage. As a support player, vital. Super vital to playing a better game. Never TP back to the lane that you want to go to.
Okay.
Ever, under any circumstances.
Okay. I should have walked back.
Yeah, you have almost 400 movement speed. So you can get back here pretty quickly. The
Okay.
only reason you're ever TPing here is if they're diving your Monkey King at that moment.
Okay, gotcha.
Because once you TP in here, assuming that this guy saw the TP, or even if he didn't see the TP, but he sees you, now he knows, wait, how the hell did the Lich get from the mid lane to the bottom lane so quickly?
Sure.
Says, okay, Lich used the TP scroll. Now, this might not be happening in these games, but it will happen as you climb the ladder. He's
Right.
going to say, hey, Lich cannot be in the top lane, so you guys should 100% try and kill them.
Okay, that makes 100% sense.
So
I usually feel like I'm circumventing that by getting a second TP scroll, but isn't it like it's like a hellacious cooldown?
it's like a 80-second
Something
cooldown, I
stupid.
think.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like an ultimate, basically.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, what is your Chain Frost cooldown? 80 seconds at level 2, 100 seconds at level 1.
Yeah.
So, and if you think about it, right? So if you walk down here and your Monkey King's not in danger, you get here maybe like 20 seconds later or something like that. Like I said, you move pretty fast, so it's really not that big of a deal. But then what if like halfway here, maybe you're about here, suddenly your Naga's getting dove mid again, or maybe they're diving top.
Okay, good point.
Then you can TP there. So using your TP scroll locks you into a specific lane very, very quickly and for a long period of time.
Okay.
So, sorry, we're spending a lot of time on this replay. We can
No,
always...
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I know that we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm happy to go a little bit longer just so you get exactly what you want out of the session.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, so then just based on skill usage, I would hold the gaze until he's at 3. Just because he's going to be able to close this gap anyway. Okay, so he gets 1 hit, right? Necro runs in, so that's a guaranteed 2nd hit. He's slowed, that's a guaranteed 3rd hit. There's no way he gets away from you. And then once he gets to the 3rd hit, you want to be anticipating that he's going to use the Ghost Shroud.
Good point. Okay, that makes sense.
So then you want to cancel that because then he gets the Jingu stacks and then he can Boundless Strike for a large amount of damage, right?
Okay.
I assume this guy's probably still going to dive because he seems like a very aggressive player, which he does. Obviously, Reaper Scythe comes out.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I think I found out this game that I should have bought I did buy a Glimmer Cape.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody was like, you could save us from
Reaper Scythe.
From Reaper Scythe for that, and I literally had no idea. Like that was the most eye-opening moment of this entire game was that I could have been using that this whole time to save them.
Yeah, it doesn't guarantee the save, but it definitely negates a lot of damage. So
it negates it, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Glimmer is a very good counter to the Necrophos.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that was a lot to cover in the laning stage. Probably too much information, but we'll go ahead and skip a little bit farther into the game.
Okay.
Say right around like 15 minutes or so. Okay, 15 minutes in, you're heading to the top lane. You guys are pushing top.
I had just gotten a kill on Medusa in that jungle.
In their jungle?
Yep. Yeah, actually she's laying right there.
Oh, nice.
So she was farming and I caught her with the ward while we were pushing top.
Okay.
So it's super advantageous.
Cool. And you place these wards?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so this is definitely a very good ward right here. This is one of the biggest things that you can do as a support at any MMR, even lower MMRs, is to just place wards on places where you think people are going to be on a regular basis. And that's going to allow your team to just kind of recognize where's safe and where's not safe to play.
And I usually try to cover the shrines.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Right.
That's very, very good strategic move is to cover the shrines. Now, as far as your positioning, you should just be up here. Like, you're level 7. You need to just continue to soak experience. It's completely okay to soak experience in this game.
In that situation.
In the laning stage, you usually want to let your carry get more experience than you get. Unless he's being heavily harassed, in which case you just need to be there soaking experience and soaking damage from. But in this case, like, you don't want to be falling too far behind, and so you walk all the way over here to get a TP scroll, and now you're TPing.
So I think that I heard that they were diving here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only reason I walked back.
Okay, well maybe we should kick back a little bit.
I believe that's true.
Holy shit! Replay bug.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, you're coming up here. Is there any reason that you have tangos in your inventory at 15 minutes?
I just never used them.
Okay.
Yep, cool. Those were part of my first 4.
That's fine. That is acceptable.
I usually do not rebuy tangos. Usually.
Okay. Yeah, in some cases it's fine in the lane stage, but usually after like 5 minutes, you're probably not going to buy any more tangos. Okay, so I would say around this point, you have the 4-step queued up, which is a good item on Lich. But around this point, I'd start to think, who is the actual problem for us in this game? Is it Medusa?
I would probably say Wind Ranger is probably who I think was giving me the heartburn through most of it.
Okay. I wouldn't just say you. I would say your whole team.
I guess that's what I meant. Okay. Yeah, from a team perspective, I felt like I was more concerned something was going to happen in the game to the team
because of Wind Ranger.
Yeah.
Okay. Based on their lineup, I would definitely say that Medusa is ultimately the hardest thing to deal with, just because she does kind of counter Naga Siren, who is your mid player, and she counters Monkey King, who is your carry.
Okay.
So she's definitely going to be the hardest to kill. So I would just keep that in mind as I'm itemizing. But I do think that there also is some sort of like game sense thing where if Wind Ranger is kind of owning you guys, and she is 4-0-3, so she's having a good game, you can definitely look to do some itemization. What on earth is going on? You can do some itemization to kind of deal with her.
Okay.
If you see that your team is not taking care of her. I will say, though, that you have pretty good tools. You have the Ensnare to hold her in place, and you have an Axe with Blink. So
Blink and Taunt, okay.
Yeah, so Wind Ranger really shouldn't be that big of an issue. She's a glass cannon. She's going to kill herself on an Axe Blade Mail most of the time.
True.
And if she gets ensnared, when she wind runs, she just dies straight up.
Okay.
If you are concerned about her damage, for example, you could consider buying something like a medallion.
Okay, for armor?
Yeah, for the armor, and you know, it gives you mana regeneration. That's nothing to scoff at for a support. Any amount of mana regeneration is very valuable.
True. Okay.
Another option would be to go for a Yules, just because if she shackles somebody, you just Yules her.
Okay.
Or if she wind runs, you just Yules her and it dispels the wind run. So this is actually really good against Wind Ranger.
Wait, so Yules dispels her wind run?
Yes.
I was not aware of that. Okay.
Yep. It says here basic dispel.
True. Okay.
So it'll dispel wind run. It'll dispel. I think it'll dispel double damage. It'll dispel like anything that isn't a like strong buff to something, which I can't think of what exactly that would be.
Right. And I think that I still think of dispels as a defensive thing. As opposed to an offensive. So that's another piece that I know that's not a short-term thing. I think it's a long-term thing, but recognizing how to debuff the enemy as opposed to debuff the ally. So for sure. Okay, that makes sense.
And I don't think that force is ever a bad item. I just don't think it's necessarily a required item immediately this game.
Yep.
I think that if you also look at their team, they have a high amount of AoE damage. So they've got, you know, the Phoenix, they've got the Medusa who split shots, they have Necrophos who does AoE damage, they have potential lightning procs from her, they have AoE damage from Dazzle. So when you're dealing with lots of AoE, you can often counter something like that by buying a mechanism or by buying, you know, the specific damage type countering item. So whether that be a Crimson Guard or a type of insight.
Okay.
Magic, physical.
Right. Okay.
Technically, those items should be built by your axe, but if not building them, then as a support, you can just build.
I want to say X was our position 4 in this game too.
Okay.
So I don't know that he was thinking of that.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah, that should be his job to buy those. Yeah. But for the most part, people who play the hero, just as a general rule, most people just want to kill stuff, and so they're not going to buy defensive items.
That's true. Yeah, I've noticed that.
But anyway, okay, so this ward is good. I can't tell if there's any wards in stock, but now that you have essentially secured this tower, I would say that you can basically decide either you have vision of this, so if people TP in, your team can get out. Your Naga's cutting the wave. You've killed their Medusa and Dazzle. If they're going to defend this tower, they need to come here and mass, but now you see 2 heroes bottom. So at this point, you can just say, these guys should be fine. I'm going to go look to do something else. And in this case, I'm going to go bottom. This is unbelievably annoying. Okay, so... yeah, I mean, this TP is fine. I don't think you needed to be there to kill them, but the TP is still fine. And you end up getting the top tower. So that movement seems good. Now, it looks like you are not quite sure what to do next.
Yep. I want to say, I queued up wards. Yep, I did. And so I knew I wanted to try to get some wards down in D ward. That was my next focus because I had nothing on the right side of the map.
Okay. So why are you running to the left side?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I don't actually remember.
Because I mean, you're not gonna ward up this area. You already have 2 wards, and there's literally no objectives to take. So you should be thinking about what is the next place that I want to secure for my team, and it's either going to be Roshan, or it's going to be this tower, or it's going to be this tower.
I want to say my thought was I needed to get back to where the Naga and Drow were.
Just to be around them.
Just to be around them. I want to say that was maybe my thought. I'm not sure. I believe.
Okay, so this is where that TP scroll management comes in.
Yep.
So if you want to be able to be around your carries, you can either run to the location to go ward, or you can just run to your carries. But I would say that what I would do, if they're pushed up here, then I think actually being around them is fine. But at the same time, like, they have wards, so they really shouldn't die.
Sure.
And you being up here, this guy might feel safer because you're here.
Okay, but ultimately leading to his doom.
Ultimately leading to his death. Okay. At the same time, like, he does recognize that there are 4 people here, so he's going to back anyway. And whether you were here or not, he was going to make this play because these wards are very well placed. Right. Okay. So that it's kind of like being there if you place the wards. And if he dies, like literally if he dies there, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
So that's where you walk over here. You go place a ward here because if you secure this tower, then they're going to have to defend this tower, which makes it easier to take Roshan. And
with him pushing top, then they're more likely to go there. So I should have free reign of bot.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So warding here, this ward I don't like at all.
Okay.
And the reasons that I don't like this ward are that you already have 2 wards here securing this whole area, so you know if they're going to come in. Number 2, you don't really care about this tower very much.
Okay, I do have an issue understanding that as well. I think that it makes sense. I get it, but in game, I'm like, I can't afford to lose any time.
Right. Okay.
So I would say that that's probably one of the reasons I'm so concerned about those things.
Sure. I do think that defending towers is really good, and you should absolutely defend all towers that you can. But again, you do have these 2 wards here.
Yep.
Which should be enough forewarning for your team to come here. Sure. And if it does look like you're going to have to take a fight here, then you can ward, but you don't need to preemptively ward here because there is no fight brewing. You know, the creep wave is all the way over here. Like this tower is not remotely in any danger.
Okay, and that's a good. And I will say that I do sometimes put a ward down and then realize that there's 3 in that area too.
Yeah.
I think that's a map awareness thing that I know I'm working on. But so for sure, 100%, I recognize that I do that quite often as well.
Okay, cool. So the next thing I will say is that, and then again, I assume you're going to ward here. Oh,
I
no,
don't believe I think I was just checking there.
Check
I think
wards. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, the setup. Where's the axe? Nice. Oh, too early.
I think we.
That's all right. That's still a very good fight.
And Wind Ranger, yep, gets drowned.
Ouch. Because of the veil. Guys, tranquils. You have tranquils. This guy doesn't have a healing item. Okay. So yeah, basically, sometimes you want to play with your team, and sometimes you want to play away from your team. And
yep.
In this case, when your team was up here, your Naga was up here, and you were just kind of up near the Naga. Instead, if you just ran over here, and again, I think in pubs especially, it's totally okay to just use your smokes by yourself. And if think of it as just like a free Shadow Blade for a short period of time, you smoke yourself up here, you go place a ward here, you go place a ward right here on the shrine, and suddenly this entire area is controlled, and it's going to allow you to take this tower and potentially this tower as well with good vision.
And should I only be doing that, literally only be doing it if I see 4 out of 5 of them on the map somewhere?
No.
Or is it one of those things where just go do it, and if you die, it sucks, but you're trying to ward?
Yeah, it is that. Obviously, if you see nobody on the map, then you need to think a little bit more about it. But if you saw a couple people like 20 seconds ago in the top lane, then you can probably assume that there's 2 less people on this half of the map.
Sure.
So there's less chance that you run into them. But basically, after this tower goes down, you should basically immediately start trying to secure the next objective. Because these wards are suddenly, as soon as this tower dies, these wards become like half as valuable. Yeah.
Right, because they're not going to go there. Okay.
Right. And one kind of more high level thing that you might want to consider is that because you place these wards, you know, they still have like 2 or 3 minutes left on them. Now's probably a pretty good time to go take Roshan because you already have 2 wards securing the area.
Okay. As far as calling it. Okay, that makes sense.
And you say, okay, guys, we can go take Rosh. This guy can take Rosh. He has 8 armor reduction on Riptide. You've got a Drow Ranger who does a ton of physical damage. Monkey King does quite a bit of damage as well. And you have the Frost Shield to make Rosh taking significantly easier. So,
okay.
Just because this would be a very efficient use of these wards. You use them to get a kill, you secured a tower, and then if you can also get Rosh out of this one set of wards, it's like hyper value.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Makes sense.
Not required, but just
yeah, for sure. And those are one of the other things that I know that trying to decide how to make calls and when to make calls. Playing with the guy that I play with, the monkey in this game, he's played a lot more than me, so he's kind of making calls, and he's been actually phenomenal about going, hey, do you think we should and kind of getting me to think about stuff in game. So, but for sure, it's one of my issues. And then I got busted here. Yeah.
That's okay.
Doing literally nothing.
You're just kind of standing there. Yeah. That's okay. This is one of the things that like the early stages of learning the game is that sometimes there's just like there's too much to read and too much to think about, and you kind of need to just stand there and wait to make a decision.
Assess the information.
Yeah. Okay. So this is definitely where a lot of these games stall out. And right, there's only 1 tower left. So it's very easy for the other team to just group up and defend this tower. And it's very easy for you guys to group up and try and push this tower, but it's also very hard to take it because it's a 5-on-5 engagement.
Yeah.
So in this case, that's where these wards, I fucking love these wards, by the way. These wards are really good if you place these.
Yes, I did.
Because it's going to allow you guys to push this lane very far. And this is how you combat this stalemate, is you push this wave up to their tier 3.
Okay.
So you guys are backing too early here. And you can either make this call or you can literally just go push this yourself if your team is not pushing.
Okay.
But you want these catapults to start hitting their tier 3. And catapults are incredibly important because they do a lot of tower damage. So
yes. Okay.
This is okay. This is actually not that bad. I would like to see this wave hitting their tier 3 before you go to the Rosh because it guarantees that at least 2 people are going to come back to defend it.
Yep. They have to. Okay. They have to stay. Got you. That
Right,
makes sense.
which means that they can't be here.
Right.
You know, so this is not quite close enough to be threatening their lane for them to actually pay attention to it. This will be taken care of at like 5k MMR, but at 1k, 2k MMR, people are not going to respond to this until it's actually being prompted auditorily by the lady going, "Your towers are under attack."
Right.
You know?
Right.
So you can actually like psychologically manipulate the other team by doing stuff like that.
Okay.
But okay, so yeah. A lot of this mid-game stuff, I will say, at this MMR is going to be about creep wave management.
Okay.
And you can actually think about the creeps as if they are a ward. They're a moving ward, right?
That makes sense. Yep.
So these creeps, in addition to making this Phoenix rotate, they're giving you information of this entire lane. And they're giving you information that there is a Phoenix up here. So that is a huge amount of information just because these creeps are here. These creeps are not giving you any information because they're not across the river. These creeps are not giving you any information because they are at your tier 2.
Yeah, right. Okay, that makes sense.
But if these creeps are here, then suddenly you have relatively good sense that this area is probably pretty safe because people tend to push the wave and then they go farm the jungle and they push the wave and then they go farm the jungle.
Yeah.
So this is good information for them, bad information for you guys. Now, as this wave goes up, you're getting more information. And as a support, it's not necessarily supposed to be your job to push the waves, but at your MMR, you're going to have to do it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I felt that. Okay.
And one of the best ways to do that on Lich in particular, let's see, what were your heroes? Undying, Venge, and Lich that you really like to play?
Yes.
Unfortunately, all 3 of those heroes are complete ass at pushing waves.
Pushing waves, right.
So how you can do it, and I'm actually going to quit out of this replay. I'll just demonstrate this real quick. So we'll pick Lich, demo mode. There's a few ways that you can actually push. Okay, so this is just for your own information. You might not have to do this in a game, but you might have to. You just immediately go kill the range creep because this creep does more damage than anything else.
Right.
So now this wave is immediately going to push. Now what you can do is if there's a hero on the map, let's say there's an axe over here, you can just right click the axe. Okay, see how that creep aggroed to me?
Yes. Which means he stops attacking ours, right? Right,
which means that he takes more damage and yours take less.
Okay. So and that can happen, and I know you can do that anywhere on the that you can see him. Okay.
So now I'm officially pushing the wave, right? Because my creeps are not taking any damage. These creeps are aggroed onto me. And this is definitely like the least efficient possible way to push the wave, but at least you're pushing the wave.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Okay.
My favorite way to do it is just to buy a meteor hammer on basically any support hero.
Anybody. Okay.
And I just go, hey guys, we need to push the waves. And people are like, well, I need to hit jungle camps. And so I go, okay, cool. And then I just meteor hammer the wave.
Okay.
And then I go walk away. And now I get all of this farm and the wave dies and my wave pushes.
Yep. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
And then I go hide in the trees and I wait to see if the enemy team responds, and they usually don't. And then the next creep wave spawns. And then I kill the range creep, and then my meteor hammer's off cooldown, and I meteor hammer the wave. And I do that until the other team shows up. And suddenly, I have provided my team with a massive amount of information. And more fun, and more importantly, perhaps, is that now I actually have some goddamn farm.
Yeah, farm, right.
Because outside of this, I'm not getting very much farm. But now I've gotten, like, you know, maybe 5 creep waves worth, and suddenly I'm like, oh shit, I can actually buy a Rod of Atos and just lock down that Wind Ranger. That's pretty cool.
That's true. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
That's definitely more of a pub solution. Like in competitive, you know, in a coordinated team, your team carry and mid will be pushing the waves.
Right, in the end, and they know too. And yeah, that's I watch a lot of scenes, so
nice.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, oh, I can't be doing that.
Yeah.
But no, this is not John. You're not a pro player.
It's completely different game.
Exactly.
That's one of the most difficult things to understand is that pub Dota is not real Dota. It's like it is. It's real Dota, but it's pub Dota, and therefore, you know, expecting your teammates to do the correct stuff not going to happen. You want to have faith in them because you don't want to just like not combo with them if they go in and do stuff. But you also need to sometimes take matters into your own hands.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I've been trying to play more like maybe Jakiro or Shadow Shaman,
Hmm.
so that I just have a natural push or tower damage at least.
Yeah,
Um,
those two are
so I've been,
definitely those two definitely work. But again, like I said, you can do this with other heroes. I actually
yeah,
have been often playing Undying recently, and the way that I do this is okay. My team's just like farming in the jungle over here or whatever, and there's some like massive creep wave pushing in bottom, and nobody seems to be dealing with it. And I'll literally just drop a tombstone and then go walk away,
okay.
and
All
my
right, perfect.
tombstone will just maybe I'll tombstone and decay. Okay, so now this creep wave has like half as much HP as mine, and it's not hitting my creep wave. So now we're
So,
pushing.
okay,
And
yeah,
this might seem like a waste, and you have to realize, like, okay, well, now I actually can't team fight for 80 seconds.
80 seconds or whatever it is. Yeah, no, for sure. But
But
it's
at least the wave is pushing and giving us information.
exactly opportunity cost.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So there are definitely things you can do, and I'll buy a Meteor Hammer Undying. It is decent stats, gives me mono regen and tankiness, so that's pretty good
Yeah.
on any support.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And then then to the point of it's tower damage
Yeah.
across the board. So okay.
Okay. So holy shit, we're at 55 minutes already. As far as watching me play, I mean, we could do a quick turbo or something like that, or
I think I got plenty out of this, and there's stuff for me to apply and figure out how to apply. So I'm actually really satisfied with this session. I'd like to set up maybe another one as well, maybe like a full on. I can actually sit down and watch you play
okay.
And go from there. So I'd be down for setting up another session when time is available.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, sorry we didn't get to it in this first one.
No, absolutely. I mean, no, there was. I literally have 2 pages of notes here of things to pay attention to and try to focus on in games.
Well, that's great. But we do have a few more minutes, so we'll just go back into this replay then, and we'll look at the late game stuff because you also said that you had some issues with that.
Yes, and I think we lose like a big team fight in this, if I remember correctly, and then we go from like a 75% win percentage to their 75% win percentage, right? Like and within 2 minutes that happens.
Yeah, and that's how most pub games, especially like up to honestly, probably up to like 5 or 6K. That's how most pub games go. Is that people are just they have the laning stage down. They know how to lane. They know how to make those like early lane rotations to some extent. But once the towers disappear and the whole map is dark, they're like, "What am I supposed to do?"
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
And usually it eventually just comes down to like the two teams kind of randomly running into each other in a spot, and if one team's on high ground, then they win. If one team has more team fight, then they win. If one team makes like 1 or 2 mistakes or outplays, then that determines the outcome of the entire game.
Yeah,
in just a matter of minutes.
Someone found him, and so the support dies because he found him, and that means they lose the fight because they lose their
control usually.
Their control, yeah. Yes.
Okay, so yeah. So how do you combat that, right? And it's by placing aggressive wards or placing wards in places that you assume people are going to be, because that allows you to at least get the jump in most situations.
Yep.
And your team still wants to kill people. They just can't because they can't see them.
Yep.
So,
and I would say that I feel like, especially as we get toward the end of the mid game, I am extremely hesitant to go and try to put a forward ward down. I think if I remember correctly, all of these people are people that I play with.
Yeah, so like you were full stack.
Yeah, I think so. And I can basically say, hey guys, let's go smoke and let me try to get some forward vision here. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? Because I got to get my BKB or whatever it is. So I feel like I'm almost handcuffed to my team's availability in the late to mid to late game to get forward vision down or aggressive vision down for those things.
Right.
So I definitely feel that, and there's a bit of kind of like, well, I mean, I don't want to die. I've already died 7 times, and I'm gonna die an 8th time, and now I'm going to be gone for 60 seconds because I actually have some farm.
Right. Yeah, that'll happen. But at the end of the day, your KDA means literally 0 if you lose the game. or if you win the game for that matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're dying,
yeah, sorry. I guess I meant that if I die now, I'm going to be dead for a lot longer than if I die.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So for that.
Yeah, for sure. But that's okay. So here, as you're pushing high ground, here's a really, really nice thing that you can do is place a ward behind you.
Walk backwards. Yep.
Just if you put a ward right here, then there's no way that they can wrap around on you. It means that you guys can safely retreat, usually through this area, or maybe just straight back if this tower push doesn't happen. But a lot of the times what happens is people will feel obligated. Oh my God, what are you doing? Guy's playing like he's a Medusa, and he's not a Medusa. He does have Aegis, so I guess it's okay, but that's not really how you want to spend that for free. But okay, so we're getting racks. But yeah, this map is really, really dark.
Yes.
And I mean, you can assume that most of them are in their base, but they could also be wrapping around, and you don't know that. So I like to just make sure that we have some more light behind us. Okay. Because this stuff is pretty scary, pretty spooky when it's just dark like that.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so you get the racks. That's really good. This is actually a pretty controlled push. And now especially is when you wish that you had the ward here because you guys are just trying to get out.
Yep.
Drow's going to walk up high ground with no vision into their shrine, which is like completely insane. But not so insane if there's a ward there.
True. Okay.
Okay, so that push went well. And you do have this ward here, which is good. Which is going to probably set you up to push this tower. Let's go ahead and see how this actually... Right. Somebody gets caught out. You guys probably all run in to try and help, and you just one at a time.
Well, yeah, one by one.
Yeah. It's a tale as old as time, as they say in Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, my favorite is when we each TP 2 seconds after each other.
Right. Okay, so I don't know if you made the call to smoke.
I want to say I told them I had it, and somebody else called it.
Okay, well this is not a very good time to smoke because Drow just died. Monkey King used his ultimate, so taking a fight now is asking to lose.
Oh, yeah,
because you have 2 major resources that are not there. 3 actually, if you count Drow's aura as part of.
Oh, good point.
So, don't really have any range heroes to take advantage of it. So. Mostly just 2. You don't have the damage from Drow, and you don't have the damage from Monkey King ults. So you do go up here, and you're taking a fight, but you're also taking a fight with very little vision, and you're taking a fight at the very best 4-on-5.
Yes.
It cannot ever be in your favor with numbers because Drow's dead.
His Drow's dead, yeah.
Now, you do get a pick off, which is great, and you get the call on this Wind Ranger, which is also great. But herein lies the problem with taking a 4-on-5 fight uphill with no vision. Is that basically there's like 3 or 4 factors that are going to determine who wins a fight. 1, who has the high ground.
High ground. Yep.
2, who's in the better position as a team. And I guess it's kind of 1A, 1B is high ground or choke point, right?
Right.
You're currently in both because you're going up high ground. Second point is who has the better team fight. Well, currently they do because you actually have no team fight ultimates except for this song because there is no Wukong's command and there's no silence from Drow. So basically 0 control. You have the axe, but that's about it. And now axe is dead. And that means that you're fighting into the Medusa, you're fighting into the Necrophos, you're fighting into the Wind Ranger, the Dazzle, etc. And
is that a DD Wind Ranger too?
It is a DD Wind Ranger.
Yeah.
So the third factor is vision. Do you have any vision on high ground?
Nope.
No.
0.
Do they have vision from high ground to low ground? A million amounts of it. And then the fourth consideration is, what am I going to get out of this push?
Yep.
And in this case, like, if you win this fight, you could potentially end the game by taking this set of racks, right?
Yep.
So you could actually get something pretty good out of this. And The nice thing about taking a fight this far on their side of the map is that they're not going to be able to get anything out of all of you guys dying because they're stuck so far away from your base. However, you don't have buyback on 3 of your heroes.
Yep.
And that means that this is twice as bad as it could be. Like, if you guys all had buyback, this fight wouldn't be that terrible. It's still terrible because of the other 4 factors that other 4 rules that you're violating about team fights. Right. But if you had buyback, at least it would not be the end of the world.
Right.
But right there, I mean, that's a massive gold change, obviously. Probably not 5K down to they're ahead. And it's all just because you guys are violating the team fight rules, which is you want to have either better vision, better numbers, better team fight, or like a better location.
Right.
And you have none of those.
Okay.
So yeah.
And arguably that would I think is the moment where just everything went downhill from there.
Yeah, and that's completely understandable for multiple reasons. I mean, I would say that they have the better late game team first and foremost. They have a Medusa, they have a Necrophos, they have a Phoenix, they have this Dazzle hero with 50% cooldown reduction, which is completely nuts. Right. So, you know, they're not really that farmed, but in a vacuum, they would have the better late game heroes.
True. Okay.
Or it would be very close. I would always rate Medusa as like one of the best, and Necrophos is one of the best, just because Reaper Scythe is so OP in the late game, just because it makes your death timer so high.
Right.
You guys might honestly have the better heroes if you look at your entire lineup, but I don't know. It's very close. At the very least, you can't really afford to feed the Medusa.
Right. Okay.
And so anyway, like, kind of losing my train of thought. But that fight in particular, like, it does go from you guys being ahead and Medusa being behind to now Medusa's pretty caught up, and they're all caught up, and you guys are kind of falling off because this Drow is not level 25 yet. Drow like has this power peak at level 15 or so, super strong for a while, and then she falls off until she gets the 50% cooldown reduction, and then she's one of the best heroes in the game. But she doesn't have that yet, and Naga is kind of not that farmed, and Monkey King is pretty farmed, but he also kind of falls off just because he doesn't really have that much armor, and his BKB gets lower, and then he gets just killed.
Oh, true.
And this Phoenix is like super mega farmed, and you can't kill the Supernova, which makes team fighting almost impossible in general. You have the Stone Gaze, which makes team fighting impossible, and then you have the Reaper Scythe to worry about. So yeah, just like that team fight in particular, for sure, made this game way more difficult than it needed to be. And then I guess the last thing that I want to cover is defending the base, because this is usually what happens. Is you take a bad fight, you feed the other team a bunch of gold, morale for your team goes down. People, which is a huge part of Dota, is your team morale.
It is 100%. Yeah.
And then because morale is down and people are like probably either arguing about why you lost the fight or not communicating very well, or just like silence, or who knows, like tabbed out looking at Reddit because they're dead for fucking like 2 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Then what happens is you have to think very actively, okay, they're gonna try and end the game now because it's it's pretty late game.
Yep.
We don't have buyback on some of our heroes, so we have to be very careful about how we actually defend. And this is when a lot of mistakes happen, and people will run up this Drow, says, oh no, they're taking our tower. We can't let them have our tower. So Drought, she's 100% dead here. There's like no chance that she doesn't die here. Because, again, what is one of the best rules of team fighting? Numbers.
Numbers, yep.
This is a 1-on-3. Currently now it's a 2-on-3. But it's still a 2-on-3. Even though this guy's very low HP, it's still a 2-on-3, and that means that they have more resources to deal with you guys than your team has to deal with them.
Yep. Okay.
So anyway, the shackle happens, and now you're running in. And before you run in, I mean, obviously you're in panic mode because, oh shit, my carry and my mid just got, or my carry and offlane just got shackled together. They're about to die. So I'm gonna run in and save them. And first and foremost, you're gonna want to frost shield this guy to reduce the damage.
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah.
Then you're gonna want to glimmer cape him.
I was so focused on getting the ulti off because I thought that was gonna be that was gonna take care of it, and then the creep wave showed up.
Damage mitigation first, then control, then damage.
Yep.
Is what I would think about as a support.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So you're running in here, see the shackle happen. First instinct should 100% be to glimmer cape, because if they don't have detection, then this guy's just totally safe. So this guy, they don't have detection. This guy does actually. So you glimmer cape him. Maybe he uses the dust. Maybe he doesn't. Then you frost shield him. Anyway, he gets the BKB off, but he goes down to the Wind Ranger. If he had frost shield on him, he doesn't die there for sure.
Yeah.
How did the Drow die? Died at Maelstrom procs or something? Oh, power shot. Okay. So yeah, anyway, you want to just try and save them without hard committing yourself, and because of the way that you run at this, you kind of just put yourself in the line of fire for everything.
True.
And now you're just simply too close.
Okay, so if I can focus on the thing that I actually like to do, which is the saving and the control, then I probably we had a better chance of surviving that.
Yeah. And in some cases, like, I definitely think that you need to try and go save these guys because they don't have buyback, and these are very important heroes. But if you're positioned over here and you can just, glimmer cape, frost shield this guy, and then maybe you can't save Drow, but Monkey King is definitely more important because of the fight ultimate he has.
True.
At the very least, you can try and get this guy out. You can even say, "Hey, turn around," like
so I can force you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can literally just be like, "Turn around, turn around, turn around," and then you just force staff him back, and suddenly he's okay, and he doesn't even have to use BKB. But because you go in here and now you are putting yourself at risk, and with Drow dead and Monkey King about to die, suddenly the game is lost, because if you die also, then you have one hero to defend your base.
Right. Okay.
Right. So in some cases, you almost even have to just sacrifice them, and just So yeah, you're just literally dying one at a time.
Yeah.
Two heroes defending the base is better than one hero. 3 heroes defending the base obviously better than 2 heroes.
2. Okay.
Like to have 5, but at the very least you want to have more. And even if that means just sacrificing the set of racks.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's there is like I said earlier, the idea that no, I can't lose any building ever.
Yep. This is definitely a judgment call, but once the tier 3 goes down, this hold becomes infinitely harder.
Yep.
And so once the tier 3 is down, this Rax is almost considered forfeit, especially based on the fact that you don't have an axe or anything. Like, if there were 5 heroes here, you would just not even defend the set of Rax.
True. Yeah.
And once the Drow dies, now Monkey King dies, you should just know, okay, this set of Rax cannot be defended. So you would just glimmer cape yourself. You don't auto attack creeps for sure. You glimmer cape yourself, and you just force staff yourself over this direction.
Okay.
And you say these racks are dead, but you're still kind of even trying to defend these buildings, even though you're like a level 19 Lich facing level 25 Wind Ranger, level 25 Necrophos. You have no chance to win the fight. So you still also have the Glimmer Cape and stuff to use, but
never used. That's one of those getting comfortable with it. Okay. Yeah, I know it's there, and if I just didn't think to even just use it.
Right.
The first time I ever bought Blink Dagger, I spent the entire game not using my Blink Dagger, type of thing. So yeah, it's. I think that's, you mentioned it earlier. There's a whole slew of things that are just just playing and getting the game time in.
Yeah.
To get comfortable with it. Yeah.
Definitely. And one other thing to remember is that as a lich, like you actually are pretty annoying to deal with as far as defending buildings. You can just frost shield these.
Yep. Yeah. I think about it on towers, but I never think about it on barracks or racks.
Yeah.
For some reason, it just never occurs to me on racks or even the ancient. It just never does.
Okay.
But yeah, 100%. Yep. Agreed.
So I mean, like even just sitting like at your tier 4s and occasionally frost shielding these is going to make them kill them slower, which is potentially going to delay the game long enough for your heroes to respond.
Yep. Okay.
Once you have these 2 heroes dead, let's say, especially once the axe dies, like if you were alive right now, it's just you and the Naga, you can just safely make the call that this set of racks is dead, this set of racks is dead. You're going to try and hold these.
Yep. Okay.
And you know, doing this play that the axe did is like, I mean, it's a good learning, teaching moment, I suppose. Okay. But, and this is just to like explain kind of like knowing your strength at this point in the game. So do you have the numbers advantage? No.
Not at all.
How much damage can these guys actually muster? A decent amount, but really realistically not very much. This guy has 3,000 HP and a dazzle behind him. Is this axe killing this guy?
No.
Zero chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Dazzle and the Phoenix behind him. Yeah.
So when you see this axe running in, you as a support, as any position really, you can just be like, just give up the racks. And maybe he goes in anyway because he's a moron.
right.
But maybe he doesn't. Maybe he actually listens to you and just doesn't go in. Like, give up the racks, give up top. We'll defend bottom. Just defend. Like you can actually just tell people, just sit in the fountain until we respawn, because you have a chance to win the game when there's 5 of you alive against them. But when there's only 2, there's no chance to win the fight.
Is there ever a reason to say, hey, Drow, when you respawn, go try and take their towers, or make them pull back? Is there ever a reason to basically force yourself to be a man down to allow that with the proper hero?
Yes. If you think that you can actually get a good trade, like hypothetically, if this creep wave was hitting their tower right now, and I mean in this case, even hypothetically that wouldn't even make sense, but just because there's 5 heroes in your base, they're going to take your buildings faster than one single drow can take their base.
True. Okay.
But let's say that they are still running down. Let's say they were here, they hadn't even breached high ground yet, and you had 3 dead and a drow alive and maybe you alive. Maybe Naga, Axe, and Monkey King are dead. And this creep wave is here, and they're here as 5 running down your lane. You can say, and you know that there's no buybacks on your heroes.
Right.
Realistically, you have 0 chance of winning that fight.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's like an 80-second cooldown on all 3 of these heroes, and it's you and Drow, and they're running down your lane as 5, and they're like right here, they're going to be hitting your base in about 5 seconds. They're going to be killing the tower. They're going to be killing the racks, and they could potentially even be killing 2 sets of racks before any of your heroes respawn. If you can understand that, and this creep wave is here, you could actually say, "Hey, Drow, just go buy boost of travel and try and go kill their base."
Okay, and try to base trade, but okay, and either they go back and we save the base for at least another minute or 2, or we win, one of the 2.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's like a very kind of fringe scenario that does happen sometimes, but that's more of like a carry perspective of knowing when to return and when to trade and stuff like that. And that's something that I don't even understand that well. It's something that I'm trying to work on and learn. And I am working on my split pushing, but if you want to learn that kind of stuff, watch like RTZ or Ritsu play or something like that, because they're insane at that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And okay, so one other thing that you could potentially do, I will just say this, like after you take a disastrous fight like that, let's see. Okay, so yeah, you respawn here. Yeah, so I don't know. This is too fringe for me to talk about So basically, like if they didn't have the creeps here and the creeps, let's say this is the next creep wave and this creep wave wasn't here, and this creep wave wasn't here. Backdoor protection kicks in or turns off at about these trees.
Okay.
And about right here.
Okay.
About right here.
Okay.
So if this creep wave is here, and let's say this creep wave is like up here, and this creep wave is right here, and it's coming, you could, in some sense, like make your way out here, maybe even smoke yourself like this, or maybe you TP here, and you just run over here and you grab the creeps and you just run at their base. and then the creeps follow you towards their fountain, and now they have no creeps and they have backdoor protection up and they can't actually kill your build.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
That's like desperation mode.
Exactly. Okay.
But it's something that works.
Yeah, see, and that's the moment I'm playing Ricky and I pick the 25 talent where I'm always invisible too.
Yeah.
So that's the moment that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, man. Any final questions or anything?
No, I have a lot to absorb and apply, and very thankful. I really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully I can set up another time to do the other side of it when you're available.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. My pleasure. And just let me know what your availability is. I mean, I basically do this full time at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm just always here on my computer.
Okay. All right, deal. Yeah, no, that works. I'll set it up. Yeah, much appreciated. This has been extremely helpful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for supporting the project and checking us out. And you're a good student.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. You're a good teacher.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, have a good night.